in retrospect, when I think about the debt aspect, I would have chosen to obtain my education in a more financially practical way. I think that,
Agreed.
and when we were coming up, if your parents didn't have money for college, you just thought, well, I got to go to school and I'm just going to have to get these loans. And you didn't really, at the time, you didn't focus on what paying that back was really going to look like.
Yeah.
You should.
It
Yep.
didn't really register.
A million years
And
away.
it was a million years away, and you thought, oh, I'll cross that bridge when I come to it. Right now,
Mhm.
I just got to get my degree. I just got to get that piece of paper. You know, you were trying to make your parents happy. You were trying to have a certain status and trying to do all these things. And then now, fast forward 25 years later, and it's time to pay the piper. You're like, damn, how much I got to pay a month? And for how long? You know, and then they make it so there's no way to get out of these loans. You can't file for bankruptcy. The only way to get out of these loans is to be
To die.
To die.
permanently
I was gonna say
disabled
the same
or
thing.
die.
I know what?
Those are your two
Yeah.
options. You got to be permanently disabled to where you
Or
can
die.
never ever work ever again in life, or die.
Mm.
Yeah.
So it's like you're almost it's almost really discouraging because you're like, man, will I ever make enough money to pay these off?
Yeah.
You
Right.
know, and
Mhm.
I don't know. I would have definitely done things differently. And I do agree that times have really changed.
I would not have done things differently, but I did not go to school. And see the thing is, I might not have the best judgment when I'm being robbed and they're trying to take my makeup. But at that age, I was like, I'm not about to get all these bills. Like, why would I do that? Why would I have,
Right.
and people, I remember I was like, I don't have the money. I remember a friend, this older friend said to me, well, you should really go to school. You're so smart. You do so many things. You should go to school. And I was just like, I can't afford that. And she's like, well, get loans. And I'm like, like, I saw the trap when I was that age. And I was very lucky that my mom was very supportive, with, whatever I wanted to do. And, I mean, she used to let me follow Mariah Carey around the world. Like, the thing she let me do, and Mariah Carey's backup singer, we're like friends, and I saw her in Vegas recently, and she was just like, I still think about what your mother let you do. I mean, you were like following like all the shows in Europe and Chicago. You were at the Oprah show. She's like, I can't believe your mom let you do that stuff. But I was always very strong-willed, very, very focused on what I wanted, very clear about what I wanted, and my mom just kind of let me. I was her last kid. She had me when she was 39, had her first kid at 21. She was like, do what you're going to do.
He was tired by
She
then.
just she was tired,
You
yeah, and I always had like a trick up my sleeve. I was like, maybe we could do this or that. So I always had something, but I was very focused on music, and I started recording when I was 14. That's how Shy and I, know each
yeah,
other.
yeah,
I
yeah.
um
Easy.
I was very clear that I didn't need a degree, and I hadn't. My aunt she was a teacher, and she's like, "Oh, you should just be a teacher, teach music." And I'm like, I'm not a teacher. I don't want to teach music. And I knew that there was never going to be a room that I'd walk into in music, in the music industry, or in the entertainment business in general, for me that it would require a degree. I knew that that was never going to come up, and I wasn't going to spend the money and the time doing that. And I've always been a learner. I've always been interested in education and just learning, but I got that other ways. And I flew free, so I would travel and I
Uh-huh.
would do things and learn about the world that way. and surround myself with people that I could learn from, and people that different interesting things. And so I got it that way, and I would not change it, not for a second. And I'm not I don't have the money. That I think, when when you're younger, you're like, oh well, by this day, I'm gonna have this, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, and things don't always go as planned. And
Yeah,
so,
of
of course,
course.
Mhm. Yeah.
it's not exactly what I imagined, right? But I wouldn't change it. And now, I actually started a startup recently, a beauty tech startup, and the same thing. I mean, in that world, it's interesting to me because degrees matter a bit more. Um, if I weren't the founder of the company, a degree would matter.
Right.
And I wouldn't be able to work in this space. I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing if I didn't have
Right.
a degree and I didn't found the company.
Right.
But because I did, I can. But I'm much more lenient in that way with the people that I'm hiring. Like we have a team. There's 5 of us now, and for me, the degrees don't matter as much as what they can do and their skill
Mhm.
set and their talent and their commitment and all of those things. And can they get the job done? And that's what I'm
Yeah.
concerned about because I think I just have a lot more empathy for that type of situation. Some of the most brilliant people that I've known haven't necessarily had a degree,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it doesn't necessarily define you in that way. So, yeah.
Well, I'm going to piggyback on that, Ian. I'll let you hop in. Alicia, that's a great point because, what I do notice is that, so the term entrepreneurship is something that has, I think, people understand it more. People have pursued it more. And it used to be, when you used to say back in the day, I want to have my own business, all the people who were part of that program would kind of be like, okay, you're going to be broke. Are you
Oh,
going to be
right.
nothing? Okay, cool. Are you going to be an entrepreneur? Well, still go get that degree. You know what I'm saying? And
Mhm.
what people understand now, just to your point, you made a great point in saying that, yeah, if you may not be able to work in a certain space, but if you start the business,
Mhm.
Mhm.
right,
And I mean, and I'm
Mhm.
yeah, exactly right. If you
you
start the
have the
business,
freedom.
and, right, and the
You
crazy
starting the
thing is,
business,
I'm the dumbest one on the team by design. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I was like, let me
right?
surround. Let me. I knew that my strategy had to be because it's a beauty tech startup, and so it's AI and it's robotics. I'm a songwriter. I'm a singer. Okay,
Right.
I don't know nothing about all that. So I had to be strategic and surround myself, and hire people, get people on the
Mhm.
team that are just brilliant at what they do. So I have like a cosmetic chemist and an engineer and a project manager, and then someone else I call her my STEM queen. She's an educator, but she's just brilliant in all areas of STEM, and she's 3D printing like wizard.
That's
Like
dope.
3D printed a leg like for a little girl in Ghana. Like she's incredible.
Wow.
Yeah. So and the water filtration systems for people in Ghana and Kenya. So with her students, they went over there, and so yeah. I mean, she happens to be educated, um, very educated, and but yeah, I knew I had to surround myself with them because I don't have the
But that's
skill
the
set.
smart thing to do, and that's what real entrepreneurs do anyway. Most entrepreneurs they have the vision and they have the the guts or the balls to do it, and then from there, yeah, you get talented people around you. So, and that's the whole thing. That's such a good point, and the reason why I'm kind of stopping on it because that's how the world actually works. I mean, you there's a place for people who are chemists, engineers, people who go to school for certain things
Mhm.
who want to work for companies. Not everybody is going to be the CEO and start a company, but you have people who come up with ideas and there's a place for everybody. And I think that that's what I think young people are people now under, and you understood, of course, too. And I've had a lot of people in my age range, peers of mine who understood that too. And they understand that, okay, cool. A degree may not be for me, but I know other things that I can do in my strength. And there's always a place for people who do have a degree to be in a certain space too. So
And that's what I
understand
wish they would
it's not.
teach in school.
Yeah, please go
But
ahead.
oh, sorry, I was just going to say that's what I wish that they would focus on with young people more is zeroing in on your strengths and your passions and the things that well, like what really makes you tick, and that they're not pushing that. It's like go into something stable, go into something just find something that
Mhm.
is going to make you money or whatever. And people are unhappy. I know doctors. I have friends who are doctors and lawyers who are like they do it because they kind of have to do it at this point. Like they
Yeah,
don't have to, but it's a lot harder to start over once you
Mhm.
get to a certain age, and so they do it and they're miserable. And then some of
yeah,
them are so happy in those jobs and they love it. And so, it could be either, but it's really important to get into things for the right reasons. And
right.
I wish that they
Mhm.
push that more with young people.
Well,
Mhm.
two things. One, and I'm gonna let you rock in. If you're living your purpose, someone who's living their purpose, who went to school or did whatever they did, long as you're living your purpose, you'll notice that with people when they're living their purpose. And everybody finds it at different times, and sometimes your purpose evolves, as we all know.
Yeah.
But I think that going back to why they don't push that, I think that the college hustle was a cold hustle. And I'm going to play something in a little while, but when they started to introduce certain grants, the government started to introduce certain grants, there was a great incentive for schools to raise their prices. And that's what it was. So it became something where now everybody need to go to college. And I think obviously the motive was the money. But what they found now is that the cost of college way outpaced inflation. A lot of people took on college debt or school debt. And then you have them enter in the job force, and those jobs, the wages don't keep up with the cost of living. So most people can't really afford it. And when you're talking to someone who's 17 or 18 years old, paying them loans back are lifetimes away. So now people can't pay it. There's 45 million people with student loan debt now, probably can never pay it. And it's essentially just become a big debt black hole that is not going to be paid anytime soon. So I think that